My name is Lopiap Jr. I'll be coordinating this forum regarding what is the purpose of CBOC annual report. And with me today is Lorraine Humes and Anton Jungher. So Lorraine, does the CBOC have to make an annual report to the public?
The short answer is yes. Why do they have to? I'd just like to give you a little context. You're going to be hearing a lot about Article 13, Section A. That deals with taxes. And the federal government runs on taxes. So each department has to deal with that. In the Department of Education, where they build school construction, they have education codes. They have general education codes, and there are like 32,000 of them. Then they have school bond codes under that. There are about 2,000 of those. In Chapter 1.5 of that, they talk about accountability for school bonds. And then in Article 3 of that chapter, they talk about specifically Citizens Oversight Committee. And in that article, there are three main ed codes: 15278, 15280, and 15282 that deal with the committee. In 15278, they talk about the purpose of the committee, about looking into reports, what type of reports. In 15280, they talk about that you have to have an annual report, at least one per year. Now, and in 15282, they talk about the composition of the committee. In the one where they're talking about the annual report, it says that you should do reports throughout the year, but you have to do at least one. And what period of time do you cover? That's up to the school district. I did a survey under Anton on the annual reports for several school districts. I just observed the report. And I noticed that I'd say 3 out of over 127 or so did a calendar year period for their annual report. That's January through December. All the others did a fiscal year, and that's from July 1st of one year to June 30th of the following year. And I think they do that because the school year is based on a fiscal year, all their finances, etc. Also, the audits are based on fiscal year. So you have to have a report. What period you cover is up to you.
Thank you. Anton, any additional information about the report?
I think the main consideration of the report is it needs to be done annually, and it has to be done by the CBOC. I've experienced some districts where the staff makes the report to the public. And as Lorraine indicated, the law is clear. This is a report of the CBOC. It's got to be approved by the CBOC and noted in their minutes. And it's basically the only legal requirement that the CBOC has is to make this annual report. That's the only thing that's in the statute.
So Anton, because this is important, what information should be in the annual report?
Well, again, the only legally required information is a report on the status of the items in the Prop 39. Now, Prop 39 amended the California Constitution, and it provided several specific things. One of which is that monies can only be used for construction or reconstruction or supporting equipment for a school. As Lorraine said, it cannot be used for salaries or administrative salaries or administration. It can only be used for projects that were specifically listed in the project list approved by the voters as part of the measure. There's a requirement in the California Constitution for an annual independent performance audit and an annual independent financial audit. Now, those are the matters that are required to be in the annual report. And the CBOC has to express their opinion on those matters. And some of the CBOCs get confused because they get these audit reports, for example, that says all the money was spent on project list items, but it's up to the CBOC to make their own judgment based on their own information. And of course, they can rely on the audit reports in doing that, but they have to come up with an independent opinion. I've seen annual reports, for example, it says, well, the auditor said all the money was spent on project list items. But the CBOC has to express an independent opinion because they are an independent oversight committee, and they are responsible to the public. Now, so that's what's legally required. Other matters that can be included is basically up to the CBOC. For example, they could include their activities during the year. They could talk about if they made any site inspections and what they saw. They could talk about any findings and recommendations that the auditors made and what corrective action the district took on that. They could talk about whether they have any vacancies. There's a legal requirement there'd be at least 7 members representative of various constituents like the taxpayer groups or PTA. They could talk about construction schedules. Are the construction on the timeline? Are the budgets and actual expenditures within what was projected? They could talk about major change orders. They could talk about the tax rates, the financial report. So those are all things that they can talk about. But the main thing is the CBOC wants to build confidence with the public that they're doing their oversight job. A report that was prepared to the public and fulfills the promise that was made in the proposition approved by the public that there would be this independent oversight.
Thank you. Lorraine, briefly, could you share with the idea on who would be best to write the annual report?
Well, as Anton said, it is legally the job of the committee. It's taxpayers reviewing reports for the program, and the audience for the report is the public. Now, you can give your report, and most of them do, to the school board, but the audience for the report and the people who write the report are the public, the taxpayers.
Terrific. Any other comments, Anton?
A number of districts use the report as a public relations document for the district. They have a lot of pretty pictures. They send this out to represent what they're doing and perhaps market their next bond issue. That is not the purpose of the report. The report is a oversight report by an independent body. And the issue is a lot of CBOCs don't understand their role as independent. They are not beholden to the district. I see in a lot of districts where the staff prepares the report, it's beautiful pictures, the CBOC approves it, and that goes forward. That is not the purpose of this report. This report is supposed to provide an independent oversight, an independent opinion on whether the promise that the taxpayers were given in the Prop 39 language, and also in the measure that each district approves, the promise that there will be independent oversight. And you often do not see that in these annual reports.
Thank you. Lorraine, any other comments?
I'd like to add to Anton's part about what should be in the annual report. There's some basics, like you should have the website so that people can look at your reports and at your data. You should have how to contact the CBOC. Maybe the members, list the members of the CBOC. Also, on some of the things like the taxes, these people are paying their tax money. They should know where it comes from. And I think that should be in the report. You can get from the county tax collector, you can get a statement that tells how much you pay for each bond per year on your taxes. And if they sell bonds, they should list that for that year. Any things that happen that affect the CBOC. If you're working on like we were working on a board proposal for bylaws for them, that should be in there if it's something new. Maybe if it's a new school bond, put the wording of the bond in the annual report. There are a lot of things included. It's essential to say that it is in compliance with Article 13, but there's more to it, as Anton said, than just that.
Thank you. Anton, any other comments?
I think that the CBOC should understand the annual report is the best opportunity and best method for them to report to the public, and they should take advantage of this and spend enough time in preparing it. I think it's useful for them to have a subcommittee on the annual report. In the case of Lorraine, she's been the chair of the subcommittee, annual report subcommittee for her district for the last 2 years. You can't write an annual report at a CBOC meeting. You've got to have somebody work on it outside the committee. The best way to do that is a subcommittee who then can prepare it and bring it to the committee. The problem is that the committee is not have enough members, or they don't take that advantage of that mechanism, and therefore the staff writes the report. And that's what you get. You get a staff report, not a committee report. I would argue that the committee has the responsibility, the duty, and the taxpayers were promised an independent report.
I think the last two comments were excellent about getting into the nuance and specifics on making it a strong report. So thank you, excuse me, thank you to both of you.